Christina's Conscious Synergetic Thought Process presents Planet Utopia, Episode 12, 1822. Intellectually Deliberate Design. From Episode 03. Not all perceivable, conceivable inputs and outputs are relevant to Planet Utopia's grand strategy, as they exclude awareness of Synergetics' geometry and the science of pattern analysis, and so it is relevant to designing Planet Utopia's anticipatory design science's true democracy to learn what Bucky Fuller discussed and cited in the Arbuthnot-Fuller Synergetics Dictionary under Geometry, January 21st, 1972, which most likely is the newest information to most of us. Yet, perhaps it is not new information to planet Earth's formally educated computer science problem solver. It is awareness that, in quotes, when you process your experiences, it produces a geometry, end quote. Who, besides Bucky Fuller, the planet's friendly genius, could put that consciously coordinated conceptioning in such clarifying order? This is especially when the thought process in typical human communications is not considered relevant to the most economical anticipatory realities, extremes of otherness, aberrant asymmetries, perpetuating the human condition as serial criminality on any irregular basis. Most information is indirectly correlating to the least economic behavior processed by anyone who is controlled by the inherited detriments of the PRJWB, CHM, politics, religion, justice, war, belief complex, hierarchical matrix. They seem not to be aware that the tetrahedron is the minimum structural system of universe, the symmetry of systemic thought, and the metaphysical intellect is a function of universe. Consequently, the disseminated content of communicated information is not generalized content that would induce metaphysical generalized conceptioning field of thought referential to accurately measured inherited knowledge. And let's go on now with this essay for today. An intellectually deliberate design does not randomly happen. Concentrated focus refers cosmic and local considerations to the consciously evolving, knowledgeably anticipatory design science observer tuning in to the variously conceived realities. Its mind becomes increasingly more aware of chaos and design, disorder and order. Its truth-loving, order-seeking aptitude is attracted to correlating sets of symmetrical relationships of the minimum system structural integrity. Wherefore, it can be iterated and reiterated, in quotes, at n to the second power minus n divided by 2 equals 6, where n is 4 out of quotes, a tetrahedral number. Synergetics 542.03. The tetrahedron equation is a generalized formula representing the number of its vertexes, which also is a direct number of interrelationships between the most economical considerations. Recognizing, iterating, and reiterating this equation coincides with recalling that consideration is from Latin con plus sidus, joining stars together. The synergetically informed metaphysical intellect as a function of universe becomes more consciously knowledgeably competent as a focused contributing communicator in the universal communications process. Its experiential-experimental thought process evolves to consciously coordinate what initially was totally unfamiliar to its observations and articulations. The appreciated order is mathematically consistent, respecting the interaccommodative component behaviors of the structural system metaphysical intellect barely knows anything about, but enough to begin apprehending relevant information for comprehending what theretofore was unknown. Prior to Bucky Fuller's Synergetics, relevant information was unknown because it was not provided by traditional education resources, especially pertaining to synergy and energy. The word synergy is the behavior of whole systems that is unpredictable when the separate parts of it are inconsiderately observed. Furthermore, every time intellect hears, writes, says the word consider is brain-mind, can recall that consider is from Latin con+sidus, joining stars together. This brings the conceptuality of the tetrahedron's 4 vertexes to metaphysical mind, conceptual environment. Thereat, its symmetrical systemic thought tetrahedrally accommodates the aberrant asymmetries that not only propagate the differentials of consciousness evolution, but perhaps also induces aberrantly destructive human behavior. Synergetically derived knowledge is a whole, W-H-O-L-E, lot, a whole lot to clarify. To the general public, whose focuses are predominantly on the least generalized content of information, approximately none of which refers to universe's minimum structural system. This can cause degrees of pensive apprehension that getting through may not occur soon enough to make an omni-considerate difference. Such pensiveness may increase the lag rate between apprehension and comprehension, where the 6 degrees of freedom would naturally come into the metaphysical generalized conceptioning field of thought induced by the generalized content of disseminated information. Disseminated information apparently includes distractions by the reenacting articulations that increase the tolerance magnitudes of the residual inaccuracies of observation and articulation in the world of human events. It is a distraction from comprehending what is required to realize the TLBSWME, truth, love, beauty, symmetry, wisdom, maximum economy. Among the irreversible succession of human events is EISEDP. Experiences, intuitions, speculations, experiments, discoveries, productions. Those human events are self-regenerative, so we ought to pay attention to the synergetically derived clues correlating to what we can consciously focus on to avoid increasing the tolerance magnitudes of the residual inaccuracies of our educated ignorance that historically increases it. Synergetics 502.22. Logically, there has to be a limit number to conceptually formulate recognitions of structural system to which human intellect can consciously refer what its imaginative ability to formulate conceptually composes in thought language during thought action. When we process our experiences according to R. Buckminster Fuller, doing so produces a geometry. A geometry, at minimum, concerns the properties and relations of points, lines, surfaces, and the shape and relative arrangement of the parts of something according to Oxford University Press Dictionary. We know points, lines, areas are topological characteristics, which is what Leonard Euler worked with, as Bucky Fuller Advanced Consideration worked with omnitopology. If our humanity hopes to reduce the tolerance magnitudes of the residual inaccuracies of observation and articulation, we must recognize omnitopological geometry of thinking as systemic thought begins integrally omniconsiderate conceptioning. The integral generalized conceptioning represents universe's eternal patterning integrity structural design. The designs are mathematically derived order, not reactionary randomness. Most troublesome in any event, as new governmental systems begin to form, which usually follows a revolution that intends starting anew without all that suppress the deliberately mindful innovations of the newly forming governing system, is the baggage carried over into the promised land, the new world. They fought battles, winning wars, to escape the tyrant's law-making power. This was accomplished by energizing their reactionary eagerness with imaginable hopes to conceptually formulate what was missing from the deepest longing to manifest comprehensive order, which was not present. Instead, cogently rational coordination was supplanted by every disturbing degree of insufferable unrest, by deprivations that induce rebellious solution. To be liberated from the oppressor's hierarchical power that seems to occur in every manifesting human civilization epitomizes egotistically driven insatiable hunger for power, more and more power. The resulting realities must rise again to defeat the dictatorial, inarguable voice that attempts to control every last vestige of freedom, that self-serving intent satisfying its narcissistic personality, a human disorder. Now, our 21st century to 22nd century anticipatory design science innovation, focusing on planet Utopia's relatively pristine environment, analyzes the human species. Planet Utopia's anticipatory designer evaluates planet Earth as a perfect prototype, since it is a 10,000 frequency geodesic sphere which all the democracies on Earth seem to have always been unaware of, thus providing a differently coordinated designing basis. Even though no one is an expert in the mensurations of whole systems with respect to forming a more perfect union, a true democracy, let alone the spherical planet's geodesics, we are advantaged by the comparative information. This is especially with respect to the many always and only coexisting complementarities such as synergy and energy, synergetics and energetics, specialization and comprehensivity, tetrahedron and vector equilibrium, in thought and deed that do not contradict the order underlying randomness. By the way, let's recall again today that the 8 U's of Planet Utopia are rememberable. U for universe, U for utopia, U for unique, U for unity, U for unifying, U for ubiquitous, U for understanding, U for us. Ubiquitously understanding us, humans of the eternal omniscient mind, a highly intelligent, evolving human mammalian species designing systems for survival on planet Utopia. Until next time, I continue anticipating our healthy, happy coexistence on Earth and on planet Utopia. Reference Synergetics 502.22 TLBSWME. Synergetics 542.03 tetrahedral equation. How the U.S. government is organized. Contact planetutopia60@gmail.com. Thank you.